We don't know how long he's going to be here to stay, but he's not here for a long time. He is here for a good time. Heavyweight Johnny Bones Jones walks in and answered a couple questions, but I feel like there's still a lot of remaining questions that went unanswered after this performance, given that it took all of 2 minutes. They open up and Cyril Gane hits him with a kick to the gonads, right off the bat, right? Slowed things down. We had toe gate, foot gate, tape gate off the bat where they weren't letting Jon Jones in the cage. Real quick, thoughts on that? What do you think that was about?
My only question was why they only cut off one of the tape. If
Yeah.
you're gonna say no tape, no tape. I was very confused. Do you know the actual Nevada State Athletic Commission rule behind that, Derek?
No, and I was trying to kind of figure it out, like real quickly scrambling before the show. I wasn't really able to find out the information that I was aiming for. I thought what was most I thought the worst part about this situation is that I felt it took Jon Jones out of the entire flow of I'm going to war, I'm going to battle, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, tape, huh? Please let me fight, right? And for a split second, AJ, I said, we're never going to see heavyweight Jon Jones enter that octagon. Like, they're going to call the fight right now, and it's going to be over, right? And, like, you maybe would have been happy with it given you saw the upset on Valentina. You'd been like, all right, we'll call it a night, whatever. But came close. Either way, he enters the cage. He goes against Cyril Gane, man, and then he does kind of what his bread and butter is he walks you forward, puts your back up to the cage, and he's done this against the highest level opposition, but he crunches you up against the cage, and then he hits you with that guillotine. And he did it on Gane, and the only problem was, I think people didn't believe it. They were like, what, did he throw the fight? Like, was this fool even fighting? That's how impressive Jon Jones is. Did you expect for Jon Jones to be able to get the takedown that easy?
That easy? I mean, I guess we should have with how Francis did it against Gane, but I was expecting just a little bit more resistance from Gane. It seems like everybody knew what the game plan was, and he still wasn't able to shut it down.
It's pretty incredible when you look over the numbers, man. I mean, total significant strikes technically landed between the two amount to 11, right? You can argue Gane never really touched Jones in a significant way other than the cup shot in the beginning. So once again, questions unanswered. I'm very impressed. He made it look easy. He's the GOAT. I think it's definitive. You don't have to ask any other questions. I mean, he's done more than any other fighter in the company's history has done in terms of just accolade. But we didn't see the chin get tested. We didn't really see his calves get tested. We didn't really see somebody try to like push him later rounds. So it makes you beg the question. They're setting up now for International Fight Week. Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight GOAT, versus Jon Jones, the new heavyweight star here. And if they clash, there's going to be another question of unknowns, man. I mean, where do we even go here? Who can you favor? Obviously, Jon Jones made it look this easy on Gane. You have to favor him. But, I mean, Stipe was the champ for a long time for a reason. What do you think?
Stipe was the champ and has the right set of tools to present a very serious challenge for Jon Jones. It's hard, though, because you don't see Stipe fighting. You barely see him in the crowd over there, man. So it's going to be really a lot of questions answered as far as Jon Jones and his heavyweight career going forward, I think, with every single fight. But what this kind of reinforced for me, Derek, is the level that we've always been talking about on this show between the kind of heavyweights. Yep. Now, what the nice thing is, we do know Jon Jones is, again, solidified in that upper echelon of heavyweights. And it's just adding more and more gap between the rest of them. I'm interested because I genuinely think the one person who's going to hand Jon Jones his first legitimate loss is probably some 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid who's trying to get into the UFC now. I don't know if any of these actual heavyweights on the roster can do it. What do you think, Derek?
Well, that's if he sticks around longer than he needs to, because the way that he plans it out is before this fight, he says, I got 2 good ones left in me, and then I'm going to dip. I think he signed his contract for longer than that. It was like 5 fights, 7 fights or something like that. But he can't make the mistake that we're seeing. I mean, you're starting to see it with some of these other champions, and we'll talk about it in a moment, but Valentina is looking a little more vulnerable now, and the way she lost her belt, we'll talk about it in a second, but a lot of these dudes, Kamaru Usman loses his belt, right? I mean, even Ngannou was getting tested, Miocic when Ngannou was coming around, all of these guys, after a while, somebody's going to have your number. I just don't think it's going to be quite that day yet for good Johnny Bones Jones, man. All right, let's tackle this, and then let's move on. Cyril Gane, after a definitive title loss like this, like definitive. So you've lost 2 fights in terms of title fights. I think it's 2 title fights in a row, right? You lost them. how many more shots are you going to keep getting at this title? You know what I mean? Like, after a while, they have to put you on the back burner simply due to we can't let you fight for the title 10 times and lose. You know what I mean? So at this point, what's his role? I mean, he's still probably the number one contender in the division. Who does he fight at this point?
Yeah, I'm trying to even think of what would be an exciting match for Cyril Gane. Do we put him against a Curtis Blades? Something that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the best thing that comes to mind. Other than that, you know, you don't want to see the Derek Lewis fight. He's already beat up Tai Tuivasa as well. Sergey Pavlovich, and Blades seem to be the best option, unless you can think of something else, Derek. But I agree, it's hard to get excited for a Gane fight when he didn't even really do much promotion. He was just it's to me, and this is obviously is not a putting down of Gane or a knock of Gane, but it seemed like he was just happy to be there, just happy to compete. And even on the embedded that UFC does, Jon Jones is saying the same thing. He's like, man, Cyril Gane has the record on a video game. He's out here just playing. He's out here happy to be here. I'm here for war. And it did kind of seem like that. And I don't necessarily, it's not, like I said, a knock against Gane, because I feel like that's just his mannerism. That's just who he is. He's just a nice guy. He's out there to compete. He's not there for the war. And it just makes it, as far as a sellable point, not that exciting. Do you agree, or you see something different?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that's a little harsh, personally, man. I think that Gane, at the end of the day, like, this dude's got, like, what, 11 MMA fights? Like, pro
He's a killer.
MMA?
He's a killer. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like he's hard to market is all.
Oh, yeah. I'm just coming from the perspective of, I think he's like, look at where I've gone in like 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. I'm already at the top of the game. I think he's a much better athlete overall than maybe a purebred killer like a Jon Jones or whatever the case may be. But I think that he's thinking marathon, not sprint. So he's like, eventually, Jon Jones, he's going to be out of here. All these guys are going to be out, and it's going to be my time. And it's just not yet. So, I mean, interesting state of the heavyweight division right now, but Jon Jones is definitely your king at the moment, man.